Hey guys, welcome to Morning Joe with me, Jim, and happy Thursday. So, we knew going into this week it wouldn't be a good week for rates. I think that's about to change. And I think it's about to change on November 2nd, and going forward. But it is what it is. If you're looking for a house right now, well, rates are kind of high right now compared to about anything. Unless you go back to the early 80s and then they look great. But home prices aren't what they were in the early 80s. So how do you get into a home right now if we know what we know we're looking at is likely to play out, right? So my suggestion for some is to purchase a home with like a 7-1 arm as opposed to a 30-year fix. I know. You're hearing that and saying, "Oh, the housing crisis again. It's subprime. It's whatever." Well, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what best and worst case scenario, or average scenario and worst case scenario of buying with an arm. First of all, here's the reason why I would say that. Because every single time in the history of mortgage rates that rates have gone up this quickly, guess what happens? They come down just as quickly. And so in the next year, look, realistically, it could be 9 months. But what if I'm off on timing? And I have been before. What if rates don't go back down to the fours until, I don't know, 3 years from now? I think that's our worst case scenario. But at any point, at any rate, no pun, there's going to be an opportunity to refinance. If you buy today, there's going to be the opportunity to refinance because rates are going lower. Now, again, I don't know the exact timing, obviously, but I do know the direction. And I think, well within 3 years, we should see rates at 4.5, and I suspect long before then, or 4.75 or something like that. Okay, so let's look at the scenario. Here I did comparison. You buy a $500,000 house, putting 10% down, right? So $500,000 house, putting $50,000 down to get into the house. And here's the three scenarios I did. A 30-year fixed rate, and I put it 7%. That's roughly where we are right now. Maybe high sixes, but it's fluctuating right there. And then a 7-1 arm, worst case scenario, right? Worst case. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then a 7-1 arm with the historical average of what rates have done, kind of basing on history. Well, if history repeats itself, this is kind of what you can expect, right? First of all, a 7-1 arm, what is it? Well, it's amortized over 30 years, just like a 30-year fixed rate. So it's a 30-year loan, but the rate is only fixed for the first 7 years, not for 30 years. The rate isn't fixed for 30 years. And therefore, it starts at a lower interest rate. What happens in year 8? Well, it adjusts. And a 7-1 arm will adjust. Typically, they have, well, in every case, they have, they have limits, right? So, and it's a 5-1-5 limit. I won't go too into that, but what that means is the maximum it could ever go up or down is 5 percentage points, right? So if you start at 6.25, which is about where it is with good credit right now, as opposed to 7, right? It's a little better rate. Well, it's quite a bit better rate. If you start at that, you could go up to, when it adjusts, 11.25, 5 points above that. So you start at 6.25, you could go up 5 points in year 8. You can't do anything for the first 7 years. It's not going to move. The rate doesn't move for the first 7 years. But in year 8, worst case, it could go up 5 percentage points to 11.25. And that's if the market and the SOFR, the index is tied to is much, much higher than it is now, etc. Unlikely, but certainly possible. And then this third column is the historical average that we've kind of seen. So here's the thing. If it is worst case and you're in the home for 10 years and the loan for 10 years, you never refi, right? Rates never come back down. And you're in this for 10 years, yes, you will pay more. Worst case scenario, if the worst case plays out on a 7-1 arm. But historical average, you might pay a little bit more, again, if you're in it for that long, right? I just want to be transparent about all the numbers, because I think it's helpful. So here's what it looks like. you will have paid principal down on a 30-year fixed at $63,000. And here's the interest. You would have paid $58,000 down or $65,000 down on the other two 7-1 ARM scenarios over those 10 years. Now, why this? Well, because here it says the interest rate is going to go up significantly in year 8. So look at this. The red is the 7-1 ARM, and you can see it's low, low, low. Well, it's right in line with this green line, right? The red and the green are together, Christmas, because it's fixed for the first 7 years. So nothing's going to change there. It's the same rate, same start rate. And again, the 30-year fixed is a higher rate. So obviously it's costing you more through year 7. So your savings are greater through year 7. But then if we go worst case scenario, the worst that could happen, you're still better off all the way, as opposed to a 30-year fixed, all the way through year 8, even though rates jump to 11.25 in our scenario, worst case. And actually, 8.5 years, you break even with a 30-year fixed. And then it starts costing you more. Now, historical average, you're still better off with the 7-1 ARM, historically speaking, if we go by the historical average and we adjust in year 8 with that. So why do I tell you that? Well, simply because I'm doing a lot of ARMs for buyers right now, 7-1 ARM, because if we think, and we realistically think that rates are going to go back down as quickly as they went up, right, in the next 9 to 36 months, that's the opportunity to refinance the home that you just bought at a lower rate into a 30-year fixed rate at, say, 4.75 or 4.25, wherever rates end up. But I think it's going to be in that range, best guess. And I think it'll be in that timing, 9 to 36 months, something like that, right? I think we could be there by second quarter of next year. So do you wait to buy till rates come down? Well, when rates come down, I'm telling you, we're going to see a lot of people on the fence about buying, jumping into the market, and home prices get pushed up again. So I wouldn't wait, because right now you can also get sellers to pay your closing costs. And so therefore, if you can do that and negotiate that, then you move the closing costs to the refinance, and you only pay them once because the sellers paid them getting into the home. So I think it's a good time to buy, but I think this ARM strategy is worth considering. Now, you can only do an adjustable rate mortgage ARM. I should have defined it. Like a 7-1 ARM, if you put 10% or more down. So if you put 3% down conventional, there's no option for an adjustable rate mortgage. You have to put at least 10% down. Hope that helps. And if I can help you with a pre-approval today it's a nice rainy day. So it's a good day to call and get pre-approved and work that out, because this weekend I think it's going to be beautiful and you can go look for homes. Love to help you. I will talk to you soon. Thanks.